She thought she escaped, but she was wrong. If you want more real-life cases like this, subscribe now. The next story is even more shocking. The words didn't make sense at first. They weren't said loudly, not in panic, not even in fear, just calmly, like a warning that had come too late. It was a quiet morning, the kind that feels normal before something goes terribly wrong. A young mother sat in her living room, exhausted but happy. Her baby, just a few months old, was finally asleep. For the first time in hours, everything was still. No crying, no movement, just silence. She got up slowly, careful not to make noise, careful not to wake the baby. And for a moment, everything felt okay, until it didn't. She walked back into the room, smiling, expecting to see her child exactly where she left her. But the crib was empty. At first, her brain refused to understand. It didn't register, didn't process. She blinked, looked again. Still empty. That's when the panic hit. Not slowly, not gradually, all at once. Her heart started racing, her hands shaking, her breath catching in her chest. No, 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 no. She rushed forward, checked the blanket, the floor, the corners of the room. Nothing. The baby was gone. And just like that, everything changed. Within minutes, the house was filled with chaos. Calls made, voices raised, doors opened and slammed shut. Neighbors came running. Someone called the police. But deep down, she already knew something was wrong. Because this wasn't an accident. This wasn't a mistake. Someone had taken her child. And they had done it quietly, carefully, like they had planned it. When police arrived, the questions came fast. Who was here? Did you hear anything? Was the door locked? But she didn't have answers, because there had been no noise, no struggle, no warning, just silence. Investigators searched the house, every room, every window, every possible entry point, and that's when they found it. The door, unlocked. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken locks, no shattered glass, just a door that had been opened, which meant one thing: whoever did this either knew how to get in or had been invited. That possibility changed everything, because now the question wasn't just what happened, it was who could have done it. The investigation moved quickly. Neighbors were questioned, friends, family, anyone who had been near the house, anyone who had access, but nothing stood out. No suspicious behavior, no clear suspect, just a missing baby and a mother who couldn't explain how it happened. Days passed, then weeks. Search teams expanded. Flyers were posted everywhere. The baby's face, now seen by thousands. But there were no leads, no sightings, no clues. It was as if the child had vanished completely. And slowly, the case began to fade. Not for the mother, never for her, but for everyone else. Because that's what happens. Time moves on, people forget, but she didn't, she couldn't, because every day, she woke up to the same reality. Her baby was gone, and no one knew where, or why, or who took her. But what no one realized was that the truth wasn't gone. It wasn't lost. It was hidden, living a completely different life, growing up, somewhere else, with someone else. And for years, no one would connect the dots, because the person responsible was closer than anyone imagined. While one family was falling apart, another was coming together. Not far away, in a completely different town, a woman walked into a small clinic, calm, composed, holding a newborn baby. She smiled as nurses passed by, answered questions with ease, moved like someone who had nothing to hide. To anyone watching, she looked like a new mother, tired but proud, quiet but happy, and no one questioned it, because everything about her story seemed normal. She said she had given birth recently, at home, unexpectedly. It happens, rare but not impossible. She didn't want attention, didn't want complications. She just wanted to move on, and so she did. She brought the baby home, settled into a routine, created a life. From the outside, It looked real. Neighbors saw her. Friends visited. People congratulated her. No one suspected anything, because no one had a reason to. The baby cried. The baby grew. The baby was loved. And over time, that was enough to convince everyone. But there were small things, details that didn't quite fit. Nothing obvious. Nothing that would raise alarms immediately. Just inconsistencies. The timeline didn't add up perfectly. Some people noticed she hadn't looked pregnant before. Others wondered why there were no hospital records. But questions like that are easy to ignore, because people don't want to believe something is wrong. They want the simple answer. And the simple answer was this: she had a baby. End of story. But it wasn't the end. Not even close. Because while her new life continued, the investigation into the missing child didn't stop completely. It slowed, faded, but it never disappeared. Detectives kept the case open, followed what little leads they had, but nothing pointed to her. Nothing connected the two stories. One was a tragedy, a missing child. The other, just a woman starting a family. No overlap, no evidence, just coincidence. And coincidence can hide the truth for a very long time. Years passed. The baby grew into a child, learned to walk, to talk, to laugh, and to call that woman Mom. That word sealed everything. Because once a child believes something is true, it becomes their reality. And for her, this was her reality. A home, family, a life that felt completely normal. There were no memories of anything else. No questions, no doubts, just a quiet, ordinary childhood. But the truth has a way of showing itself. Not all at once, but in small cracks, little moments that don't quite make sense. Comment here, a look there, things that seem unimportant at the time, until they start to add up. As she got older, those moments became more noticeable. People would say things: "You don't really look like your mom. You must take after your father." But there was no father, not one anyone ever talked about. The questions started small, casual, innocent. Where was I born? The answers were always the same. Simple, quick, at home. No details, no stories, just enough to move on. But something about it didn't feel right. Not enough to cause panic, but enough to create doubt. And doubt grows, especially when it isn't answered. As the years passed, the questions became harder to ignore. Documents didn't match. Records were missing. Things that should have been clear weren't. And slowly, the life she had always known started to feel uncertain. Meanwhile, the woman who had taken her watched closely, careful, because she knew something others didn't. She knew the truth, and she knew how fragile it was. For years, she had managed to keep everything in place. Built a life on something no one could see. But the longer it went on, the harder it became, because lies don't stay hidden forever, no matter how carefully they're built. Eventually, something breaks, and when it does, everything comes out. The question didn't come all at once. It built slowly, quietly. For years, everything had felt normal. Not perfect, not completely clear, but normal enough not to question. Until it wasn't. It started with small things, little inconsistencies that didn't seem important at first. A missing document, a vague answer, a story that changed slightly each time it was told. Individually, they meant nothing, but together, they started to form a pattern. And that pattern made one thing clear: something wasn't right. As she got older, the questions became harder to ignore. School assignments required details about her birth. Official forms needed records. Simple things. Things every other student could answer without thinking. But for her, they became problems. Where were you born? At home. Which hospital? There wasn't one. The answers never went deeper than that. And every time she tried to ask more, the conversation ended. Quickly. Too quickly. At first, she accepted it. Some families just didn't talk about things. Some stories were complicated. But then came the moment that changed everything. She needed her birth certificate. Not optional. not something she could avoid. It was required. And when she asked for it, everything shifted. The reaction wasn't normal. There was hesitation, a pause, then an excuse. It's somewhere, I'll find it. But it wasn't found. Days passed, then weeks. Each time she asked, the answer was different. It's being processed. It got misplaced. We'll request another copy, but nothing ever appeared. And that's when doubt turned into suspicion. Because this wasn't just missing paperwork. This was avoidance, intentional. And that realization brought something else with it. Fear. Not the kind that comes from danger, but the kind that comes from uncertainty. Because if something as basic as her birth didn't have a clear answer, then what else wasn't real? She started paying closer attention, listening more carefully, watching, and the more she did, the more things didn't add up. There were no baby photos from the hospital, no stories about the day she was born, no relatives who remembered the moment, just a blank space, and that blank space felt wrong. So she did something she had never done before. She looked for answers herself. First, it was small. Online searches, general questions, nothing specific, nothing that would raise attention. But even that was enough to open a door. Because once you start looking, you start finding things, articles, stories, cases, and then one stood out, a story about a baby that had been taken years ago from a home, no signs of forced entry, no clear suspect, just gone. Something about it felt familiar, not in a way she could explain, just a feeling. So she kept reading, looking at the details, the timeline, and then she saw it. The date, it matched, not exactly, but close enough to matter. Her heart started racing, because now, this wasn't just curiosity anymore. This was something else, something real. She compared more details, the age, the description, and slowly, the possibility became impossible to ignore. What if she wasn't who she thought she was? That thought didn't settle easily. It resisted, fought back, because accepting it would mean everything she knew, everything she believed, was a lie. But once the idea was there, couldn't be removed. So she kept digging, quietly, carefully, because now, she wasn't just looking for answers. She was looking for the truth. And the truth was getting closer. Meanwhile, the woman who had raised her began to notice the change. The questions, the distance, the way she looked at her now, not with certainty, but with doubt. And that was dangerous, because doubt leads to discovery, and discovery leads to exposure. For years, she had controlled the narrative, kept everything in place. But now, that control was slipping, and she knew it. So she did what she had always done. She tried to stop it, deflect the questions, change the subject, create distractions. But it didn't work anymore, because once someone starts searching for the truth, it's only a matter of time before they find it. And she was getting closer, closer than ever before. By now, the doubt wasn't quiet anymore. It wasn't something she could push aside or ignore. It was constant, loud. Every answer she didn't get, every detail that didn't make sense, it all pointed to the same possibility. Her life wasn't what she thought it was, but suspicion wasn't enough. She needed proof, something real, something undeniable, and that meant taking the next step. She went somewhere she had never been before, official records. At first, it felt simple, routine, just a request, a form. But the moment she asked for her birth records, everything changed. There was a pause. Not long, but long enough. The kind of pause that says something is wrong. The person assisting her checked again, then again, frowning slightly, because what should have been there wasn't. No record, no official documentation of her birth. Nothing. Her heart dropped instantly, because now the doubt had something to hold on to. This wasn't just a feeling anymore. This was real. She tried to stay calm, asked if there could be a mistake. The answer was careful, professional. Sometimes records are delayed or filed incorrectly, but even they didn't sound convinced. and she could feel it. Something wasn't right. So she went further, asked more questions, and eventually, someone suggested something that would change everything. DNA testing. It wasn't presented dramatically, just as an option, a way to confirm identity, but to her, felt like a line. Once crossed, there would be no going back, because if the results confirmed her doubts, then everything she had ever known would collapse. But if they didn't, then she could finally move on. Either way, she needed to know, so she agreed. The process was simple, quick, just a sample, a submission, and then waiting. Days passed, each one heavier than the last, because now the truth existed somewhere, in a result she hadn't seen yet, in an answer that could change everything. Meanwhile, the woman who had raised her was watching closely. She knew something had shifted. The questions had turned into action, and that was something she couldn't control. For years, she had kept everything hidden, carefully maintained, but now, that control was slipping away, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. The day the results came, everything felt different, quieter, like the world was holding its breath. She sat down, hands shaking slightly, because in that moment, there were only two possibilities. Either everything was a misunderstanding, or everything was a lie. She opened the results, and within seconds, she knew there was no match, no biological connection. The woman she had called her mother was not her mother. The words didn't feel real at first. They didn't fully register, because accepting them meant accepting something far bigger. She had been taken, years ago, from another life, from another family, and everything she had known since then had been built on that single moment. The realization hit hard, not just as shock, but as something deeper, lost, because in that moment, she wasn't just discovering the truth. She was losing the only life she had ever known. Authorities were contacted quickly, because now this wasn't just a personal discovery. It was a case, an open case, one that had been waiting for answers for decades. Investigators moved fast, reopening files, reviewing evidence, connecting details, and what they found was something no one expected. The timeline matched, the location, the circumstances, everything aligned with a case from years ago. A baby taken from her home, no suspect, no resolution. Until now, the pieces finally came together, and they all pointed to the same person, the woman who had raised her, the woman who had taken her. For years, she had lived undetected, unquestioned, but now, the truth was out, and there was no escaping it. The moment the results were confirmed, everything moved fast. What had been hidden for decades was now undeniable. The young woman, no longer just someone with doubts, was now at the center of a case that had never truly been closed. A baby taken, a family broken, a mystery that had lasted for years. And now, an answer. Authorities didn't wait. They had enough evidence, enough connection. Everything pointed to one person, the woman who had raised her. For years, she had lived a normal life, blended in, stayed quiet, no suspicion, no investigation, just time. But time had run out. When investigators arrived, there was no chaos, no attempt to run, no denial at first, just silence, because deep down, she knew. She had always known this day could come. The questions, the inconsistencies, the truth getting closer. It was only a matter of time. And now, it was here. The confrontation was quiet, not dramatic, not explosive, just a room, conversation, and the weight of everything that had happened. At first, she tried to hold onto the story, the same one she had told for years, that the child was hers, that everything was normal, but it didn't last, because the evidence was too strong. The DNA, the records, the timeline, all of it pointed to the same truth. And slowly, the story began to fall apart. What came next wasn't immediate, not a sudden confession, but something closer to acceptance. Because after years of hiding the truth, there was nowhere left to hide. And then, She spoke. Not loudly, not emotionally, just honestly. She admitted it. Years ago, she had taken the baby, not by accident, not in confusion, but deliberately, planned, careful. She had waited for the right moment, watched, and when the opportunity came, she acted. No noise, no struggle, just a quiet disappearance. And then, a new life. But the most shocking part wasn't what she did. It was why. She didn't describe anger or revenge. She described something else. Loss. A deep, personal emptiness. She had wanted a child, desperately, and when she couldn't have one, she made a choice that changed everything. She took someone else's, and convinced herself it was enough, that she could build a life on it, that it would feel real. And for a long time, it did. She raised her, cared for her, loved her, in her own way, but love built on a lie doesn't erase the truth. It only hides it, and eventually, the truth always finds its way back. When the real mother was told, the reaction was something no one could prepare for. Years of loss, years of not knowing, all coming back at once. Because for her, this wasn't just a case. This was her child, taken, gone, and now, found. The reunion wasn't simple. It wasn't instant, because time changes things. Years apart create distance, even when the connection is real. But the truth was there, and that mattered, because after everything, after all the years, the story had an ending. Not a perfect one, not a clean one, but an ending. For the young woman, the truth changed everything. Her identity, her past, her understanding of who she was. Because in one moment, she had lost one life and found another, and that's something no one is ever prepared for. For the woman who took her, the consequences were unavoidable. Because no matter how long something stays hidden, it doesn't disappear. It waits until the moment it can no longer be ignored. And when that moment comes, everything changes.